I'm going to talk about something that I'm very passionate about, and I have 15 people that work for me that I think are passionate about this subject, but sometimes I think they just have jobs. Benefits, something that's not very interesting to many people, but is very important to everyone. We're going to talk about what really benefits mean. I mean, it's kind of it's a technical thing. It's a non-wage compensation provided to employees, such as group insurance, we'll talk about, retirement benefits, daycare, tuition reimbursement, and specialized benefits. How many of you are on Georgetown student benefits that you get offered from coming here for your health care? Okay. How many are you on your parents? Okay. So that's the benefit that you have as a student here is one form of having a benefit. But the benefits you have from your parents, those of you that are still insured by your parents, actually have kind of what I'm going to talk about tonight. So there are different types of benefits, and I'm telling you, this stuff is riveting. So stop me when you can't take it, okay? Health and welfare covers health insurance, dental insurance, life insurance, and disability. And you know, I think that we all are going out to get our jobs eventually, right? And I think that we're all worried about making a certain amount of money. We all want to make money, I assume, right? Health insurance, dental insurance, life insurance, and disabilities, to me, are the basics. So when you're going to get your job, and hopefully it'll be more than just a job, but you all will just be getting kind of your big first job when you leave Georgetown, or whatever you'll be doing after Georgetown. And so I don't expect it to be the greatest job ever, or that it's going to be your life's work the minute you launch, which is why it's a really good idea to look at the different things you get from your benefits. Health insurance is what I would consider a basic. And to me, the US has made a huge statement about that with Obamacare, giving people the basics, right? So when you go into an environment where you are getting a job offer, you have health insurance to consider. And health insurance is important because the minute you don't have it, and something happens, it doesn't matter how little or how much you make. There is always a cost that is going to outburden anything that you could even imagine. So healthcare comes with really different features. There's, you know, premium costs, how much do you have to pay as opposed to how much your employer pays. I'll use Georgetown as an example. For our, what I would call our most accessible plan is Kaiser. At Georgetown, when people come to Georgetown, they get Kaiser. That we pay 80% of that plan. They pay 20%. So they get practically a very great plan for very little dollars. That's called an HMO, which is a health management organization. It's all one place type organization where the whole plan is bundled. It's very important to know and understand what your costs are. High deductible health plans are another type of health plan that happen, that are offered to people. And high deductible health plans often come with really little premiums. So you might have a high deductible, you might work at Google. I'll use them as an example because I really don't know what they offer. So say you worked at Google and they offered you a high deductible health plan. Are you guys riveted yet? Is this like, are you on the edge of your seat like I am? Because I'm telling you, it's good lucky I'm standing. But so you're at Google and they offer you 3 plans. They offer you Kaiser, which kind of is a one-stop shopping network, good premium, and low, what I call point of service cost. So when you go in, and you go in because your head hurts and you have a migraine, and you pay a copay. So until I was a benefits guy, which only happened about 12 years ago, I thought when you paid your $20 copay, that was the cost of the doctor's visit. That's just your responsibility, right? People don't always know that $20 doesn't cover it. That was an epiphany for a lot of people. When I figured out that epiphany, I realized everybody should know it. So, you know, there's a place where you go to a scenario where you pay $20 to see a doctor, and whatever those services are, you're still only paying $20. Or there's a high deductible health plan where the premium may be $20 a month for your premium to have that insurance, but you actually have to pay out of pocket till you get to a deductible amount. Say, example, $2,000 a year. So that's all out of pocket. All things to think about when you, in fact, are actually engaging in what type of health care you want. So dental insurance is probably the most non-aggressive and unsupportive benefit in the marketplace. Healthcare is full coverage. It means a lot to have healthcare. Dental care means you're getting a little bit of dollars contributed towards whatever dental needs you have, a free cleaning, every 6 months, cavities filled at a discount, a root canal at a discount. But really what you're doing when you're buying dental care, and you should always buy dental care as well, is you're covering an amount of money that they contribute, but you're also buying a discount. So discounts are negotiated based on the plan. So the plan, say Delta Dental has a network in this region, and if you were to go to without Delta to have a root canal, God, if you ever have one, you'll know why you needed that insurance, and it's $1,200 without the insurance, but it's $600 with the insurance, and they only covered $300 of it, you've paid to only pay $300, not $1,200. So you've bought into a discount. Besides that, dental insurance isn't going to wow you. It's not going to prevent you from having an out-of-pocket expense, but it's something that's pretty essential. Life insurance, you're all kind of young to have life insurance. You don't really have people to leave it to yet. And if you do, that's great. You should maybe buy it, but it's an expense maybe out the door in your first job that you really don't want. But for example, I have 4 kids, 5, 3, 18-month-old twins. I have a lot of life insurance because if something were to happen to me, I would want my spouse and my kids to be cared for. I'd want our house paid off. I'd want all that stuff. Did I have life insurance at 22? I did. And I had a very small policy, and I built it up. You can always at open enrollment, which happens once a year, and I'll talk about that in a minute, elect to have different type of life insurance benefits that get greater and bigger in certain things. And over the years, as appropriate, I increased them to make sure that I could cover the cost my family would need. And lastly, disability insurance, which is paramount at your age. And most places have it as part of the package. You don't actually have a choice. You have to buy it. It's part of the package. Sometimes it's covered fully for you. Sometimes it's not. But what happens when you actually are, I want to be exotic, not something dramatic. So you were in Thailand, and you were thrown off your Vespa when you were riding on a street in Cambodia because you got distracted by the beauty of the place. Okay, that's much better than like finding out you're losing a leg, right? So you come back and your doctor's like, you can't work for like 3 weeks or 5 weeks. Most people aren't just paying you for that, and you usually don't have enough vacation to cover something like that, nor should you. You should be actually using a benefit like disability insurance. And for example, if an employee at Georgetown has an event which isn't longer than 90 days, but is going to be more than 15 days, it's called short-term disability, and we cover people at 100% of their salary after a certain waiting period. And that's so you actually can recover and not be worried about, how am I paying my rent and my cat food and, my eBay habit and all that. So, you have to really know how to manage those things, and you need to be supported in doing that. These are very, very important things to get from your workplace. That doesn't always happen. Long-term disability is another insurance that I hope none of you ever have to use, but if you do, because that trip in Cambodia and that fall was more like they needed to restructure your leg because you broke all your bones, and it went to 300 days. After 90 days, you go into something called long-term care. And long-term care makes sure that you actually have an income past that 90 days, and it's not equivalent to 100%, it's 60%, but it's not taxed. So, 100% taxed and a non-tax 60% is kind of close, right? So, and that can run for a very long time until you're recovered. So those are kind of health and welfare benefits. Then there are retirement benefits, which it's all about the cobbler and the shoes. Okay, I'm going to talk about that for a moment. So I've been in this field for a long time. This is my 15th year, and I was in banking before this, where I had these type of great benefits, but really didn't engage with them the way I truly wanted to or should have. Retirement benefits are having an account that you contribute to and that your employer contributes to. Does anybody know what a 403B is? A defined contribution retirement plan. An annuity. Okay, I didn't either. So, and you're not expected to yet. But a defined contribution retirement plan is a plan that your employer gives you. In the for-profit world, it's called a 401k. And in the non-profit world, it's called a 403b. And what happens is they will, after some have immediate vesting, some have certain vesting rules after a year of working, whatever. They give you money. If you put some money in, they give you money, right? So I'll use our plan as an example. You start to work at Georgetown, which I'd love you all to work here. And there's benefits to that are really important for people like you. If you were to come to work at Georgetown and you decided you couldn't afford to put money away in your defined contribution retirement plan or 403b, same thing. Regardless, just for showing up, I would give you 5% of your income every month. So that means, let's go high roller, okay? You made $100,000 a year to start here, and I gave you $5,000 a year, and it would be yours. It's yours. The day you start, it goes into a retirement plan, and we no longer have it, it's yours. For 3% more, I give you another 5%. So you get 13% starting towards your retirement out of the gate. Had I done that at 22, I probably wouldn't be standing here right now, because I would have been fully set for retirement and would have found another job maybe at Starbucks in an art store, because that might have been different and more enjoyable to me, right? But I didn't. I didn't also follow the rule of, between the age of 25 and 35, it's good to put $2,000 away a year and just don't touch it until you're 60. I didn't do any of that. Thank God I'm not close to 60, but nonetheless, I am the age of almost all of your parents. So it's important to put away. The minimum to get the maximum when you first start working, to me, is the greatest thing to do. And you kind of do it once. You start doing it once when you graduate and you get your job, and then you never think about it because you've done it once. It's not even something you expect. I was the person you should never. How did my mom say it? Do as I say, not as I do. Okay. Do as I say, not as I did. Okay. So I would, when I was young, you had certain money here, and then you'd quit that job, and you would need to pay off your college loans, which I'm saying you shouldn't do it this way. I would take money and use it. I'd pay huge penalties and taxes. Then I decided to buy a house when I left this job. It's all that same thing. You should never do that the way I did it. Thank God I was able to recover later in life. But there's money there for you. It's a big deal, and it's a big part of what they offer you. So, somebody offers you $40,000 or $50,000 out the gate, and you think that's big money, but you get zero towards your retirement. It's not big money, right? They're not giving you something that's really substantial. They're not contributing to your future. And then retiree medical, you're too young to worry about, but when you get to a place where you're going to be in it for a long term, and not all of us do that. I've been here 8 years. This is probably the longest term I've ever been. I'll probably will be here my career. But when you get to a place where you are thinking you're going to be long-term and you actually would like to continue to have coverage after you retire and leave that place, retirement coverage is very important. And it's usually healthcare, vision, and dental. And usually not vision and dental. We offer it here at Georgetown for retirees, but really the primary is medical. And sometimes it's medical supplemental to Medicare, which none of you need to worry about for 65 till you're 65, so we're not even going to talk about it. Specialized benefits. Sometimes you get a company car. Sometimes you get tuition assistance. Sometimes you get parking. Sometimes you get a gym membership. And I doubt out the gate you'll want daycare, but if you want daycare out the gate, there'll be a reason, and they'll have it, right? These are very, very important benefits, and these are, although this is non-cash compensation, they really play a key role in your big picture of finance. If you get a company car because you're in sales, that's a big deal because you're not paying for insurance, you're not paying a car note or rental or any of that. A big deal. And tuition assistance, and that's the thing I'll talk about that I think is the biggest and most important thing to me. If you decided to get your master's, what's a master's somebody wants to get here? GPPI, okay. What was that? Okay, your MBA, a very expensive program here. And you worked here for a year, you would actually be able to get that as a benefit for being an employee at Georgetown and getting in here. Part of the specialized benefits, the other thing I'll talk about specialized benefits is kind of concierge, because the environment for work varies from where you work. So you work at a Google, something I'm familiar with, or Gap. I used to be the head of HR administration for Gap Corporation years ago. I felt like a supermodel every day, and I didn't fit Gap clothes, but it was, it's a whole other story. But the work environment is relatively young, and you have relatively long hours. And so, do they have a great free cafeteria? Yes, they do. Do they pick up your clothes at the front desk for dry cleaning? Yes, they do. Do they get you to and from public transportation? Yes. Those are great benefits, especially if you're working 12 hours a day, right? Because at 12 hours a day, that alleviates all the stress that you possibly could have with, oh my God, I don't have that tie for my JP Morgan job on Friday, and I'm meeting with X billionaire it's going to change my life, right? You don't have to worry about that stuff. But sometimes, at 23, being at Google and having a basketball court and, all these resources at your fingertips, in addition to being in a work environment where you're actually changing people's ways of interacting in the world, a tremendously big deal. Those are all benefits, because, I don't know, is JP Morgan, you're in New York, those offices are beautiful, right? That's important. Because when you go to a crappy environment, it doesn't really matter how much you make. It doesn't feel good to be there. There's an intrinsic feeling of having something that feels good when you go to it and being proud of it. So those are all kind of benefits that are hard to attach to. They're not the first thing you think of. They're often the last thing you think of. And I have to tell you, I used to, for years I worked at Stanford as the head of benefit services, and the same thing happened when I started here. So I was at Stanford, and one of my analysts came into my office and says, "Is your name Charles DeSantis?" And I looked at them like they had four heads, right? I'm like, yeah, it is. And he said to me, is that you right here? I said, yeah. They said, oh, so you're the head of benefits? Yeah, yes, I am. And you just became ineligible for benefits because you waited 61 days to elect your benefits. It's the last thing most people think about, okay? I got here to Georgetown, and my assistant sat me down and said, I had talked to your people at Stanford, and they told me to sit down with you. I said, why? They said, if he doesn't do his benefits right away, it won't happen. It's the last thing you think about, because you're in it, right? You're going to want to do whatever you're going to want to do immediately, if not sooner. So, I will talk about this just briefly, but the one thing I'll say is, when I think of benefits and jobs, I hate that we all pursue jobs for money only. Look for things that you like to do, not just things that will give you money. Believe in what you do. And if you don't know what the hell you want to do, because you shouldn't, to some degree, I had no idea I studied painting. I have no idea how I became an associate vice president of benefits, and I've been doing it for 15 years. I couldn't tell you when it started, right? I realize why I say that to you is that my career started pretty early, and it was because I paid attention to what was in front of me and what opened up. I wasn't tremendously selective about what I would do. I was tremendously selective about what I thought I would get out of it and what I could give back. And it kind of led me in a path from banking, where I was at Wells Fargo and the Federal Reserve for years, and customer service for a credit card company, to being the head of HR at Gap, benefits, and CEO of a company, and now Georgetown, right? Boom. Who knew? And we all think we get everything out of work, and we don't. That's why we have holistic lives, right? What you do in work is great. What you do out of work is great. If they all connect, fantastic. If they don't, it doesn't matter. That's why we are humans, right?